No, not again. Hello guys, it's Slippery Jack, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm reviewing A Saucerful of Secrets by Pink Floyd. Alright, so, one of the main... I'm sure some people are like, thinking this is a very random album to review of Pink Floyd. If you had to choose like one album by them to review, it would most likely be like Dark Side of the Moon. But I chose this one because because a few days ago, I got to see Nick Mason live. Check out this shirt. Nick Mason's Saucerful of Secrets tour. But yeah, I got to see them in San Francisco, and I still can't believe it actually happened. I never knew in my life I would get that close to a Pink Floyd member. I mean, like, it... And he also played, like, all the old classic songs from, like, everything before Dark Side of the Moon. And mostly stuff from Piper at the Gates of Dawn and Saucerful of Secrets. And also a few from Metal and Adam Hart Mother. Not to mention the Nile song from More. But these are completely different albums. So I thought, since I just got to see Nick Mason live, I should go ahead and review a Pink Floyd album. And I think that most of the stuff that he played was off of this album. So, let's get right into it. So, I remember when, how I discovered this album is I think I've known about it for a while. I remember my dad got like his collection of Pink Floyd records out, and I think he showed it to me, but he said that it was that might scare me, and I didn't want to hear it because I didn't, I was much younger back then. But then he found this old cassette tape that had The Dark Side of the Moon on one side and A Saucerful of Secrets on the other side. And he told me that I should go listen to them and check them out. So I did. And within a few listens, I was completely hooked on Dark Side of the Moon. And then I thought, I need to check out The Saucerful of Secrets. I'm sure, hopefully I'll get another Dark Side of the Moon. I didn't really exactly get that. One thing that stuck out to me is that it was, unlike Dark Side of the Moon, it had a lot more of a negative feel. I didn't know that this was the album that my dad scared me away from until I actually looked up the album cover and I recognized it. Let me fix my camera real quick. Okay, there we go. But yeah, it had it just felt so much more negative compared to Dark Side of the Moon, which which made me feel more positive emotions. And also, this album had an underlying creepiness that lingered throughout the album. And because of this, I found it to be a really interesting sounding album because there was so many cool, interesting sounds in it that I didn't really get with The Dark Side of the Moon. And after I warmed up to it, it actually became one of my favorites in their entire discography. In fact, I think I actually might even prefer this over Dark Side of the Moon now. It's kind of a lot to say there. I'm not sure, like, if I haven't played The Dark Side of the Moon in a while, but I think I still prefer Saucerful of Secrets. It's just a awesome album, as you can already see now. So anyway, the opening track, Let There Be More Light, when I first played the tape, I heard the the cool guitar thing that I don't know if it was Syd Barrett or David Gilmour who was doing it. I'm pretty sure Syd Barrett was still the lead guitarist at the time. Um, I as soon as I heard that, I knew kind of what I was getting into, and after a few seconds I realized that it was not a Dark Side of the Moon, and that it was completely different. And by the way, I'm going to be talking about this album much more as a whole than as individual tracks. I will discuss some of them though. So after the guitar solo, it gets all soft and mellow with the soft vocals from Roger Waters and Richard Wright. But then David Gilmour's harsh vocals come in. This kind of freaked me out on first listen. And I was like, whoa, where did that come from? This is kind of scary. But I don't worry, I've warmed up to this song, and it remains one of my favorites from Pink Floyd altogether. The version that was played at the concert, I don't think was as good as the studio version, but it was still pretty good. I'd recommend checking this version out, though. And another one that kind of made me feel unsettled, kind of felt unsettling to me was, what was it? Saucerful of Secrets Suite. It sounds like an Ummagumma track, and I wasn't really familiar with that album yet when I first heard this, but I was thinking, what are they doing? This sounds so weird. And they're making like all these creepy atmospheric effects, almost like it's almost like the first ambient music. And keep in mind, this is 10 years before Brian Eno's music for airports. So that's pretty impressive for the time. And this is also another great track once you get used to it. You have to learn to appreciate the weird kind of sounds that they've done in this album. And also Ummagumma, by the way, has become one of my favorites as well. Also, if you listen to like the previous album before this, Piper at the Gates of Dawn, you'll notice that it has like a very bright and happy feel. But then like within one album, it was everything flip-flopped. And that is because Syd Barrett is not contributing to any of the writing on this album except for Jugband Blues, which is the final track. And this is what kind of set up like what they were going to do in their later career. And I think that without this album, there probably wouldn't even be a Dark Side of the Moon. But I'll talk about a little bit about each of the tracks. So I already discussed Let There Be More Light. Remember a Day is Richard Wright's song. Still one of his best works, in my opinion. Just like all of his stuff. I love the piano in it. Richard Wright always likes to use a lot of piano in his songs, and this one uses a lot of piano, and it really does a lot for this track. I love it. Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun has a great bass line. The songwriting is great. I think that the lyrics on this album are very complex, and it would be quite a lot to just like dig out, just like pick apart every single song on this album and find out what the lyrics mean. But yeah, Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun is an awesome track. When Nick Mason's Saucerful of Secrets played this in San Francisco, this got so loud. Like I swear I lost hearing from it. And it even rivaled their performance in Ummagumma, which is also one of the best versions of this. Then there's Corporal Clegg. So this is kind of this is the first anti-war song that Pink Floyd has released. They're just making fun of this corporal, which isn't it's not cool. I don't think that they should be doing that. But I don't think it really affects the song at all. And I just love the guitar work. I don't know if it's Gilmore or Barrett that's on the guitar, but whoever is doing it, it's just awesome. And this stuck out like a sore thumb when I was younger, and I loved it immediately. Already discussed Saucerful of Secrets Suite. Seesaw is another Richard Wright song. Beautiful song, very bittersweet, and unlike unlike the rest of the album, this is probably the brightest sounding song on here. It's just a very dreamy kind of sound to it. It's this one is about like a brother and a sister growing who are growing apart. But yeah, like I said, bittersweet, but I love it. Then we end with Jugband Blues, which is the one song that Syd Barrett wrote. So if you don't know who Syd Barrett is, he was the frontman of Pink Floyd for a while, but then but because of heavy drug use, he went insane and he couldn't be in the band anymore. And this is kind of him saying goodbye, or like, and even at the end of the song, he says, what exactly is a dream and what exactly is a joke? Like, that made my hair stand up, because based on all the songwriting that he was doing originally, it wasn't very serious. It was very childlike, but finally he's getting serious. He's like, I don't understand. He doesn't understand it anymore. He's also the lyrics are very abstract and weird. And and there's like this horn section in it where all the horns go out of tune. And yeah, this definitely shows that he has lost it. And sadly, after this album, he left the band. So I don't think that it was like it was a terrible thing that he left the band. I knew that they were still capable of creating great music, but yeah, it is kind of sad that he lost it. Poor guy. So anyway, as a whole, I think that this album is a masterpiece. It's I think that it definitely rivals The Dark Side of the Moon, and it's one of Pink Floyd's best works. Overall, I'm giving it a 90 95 96 out of 100. My favorite songs are pretty much all of them. I do not have a least favorite track. It's great from front to back, and yeah. Thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, and click the notification bell, and I'll see you later. Bye.